So I read about a Cadillac that was on Brooklyn streets for 25 years, and this was like obviously decrepit Cadillac. It had flat tires. It was filled with trash like bottles and plastic bottles and newspapers, and yet it sat on the streets for 25 years. And I think that is a great example of how sort of mismanaged or at times poorly managed our streets and our sidewalks. I mean, this would never happen on the property of like a private mall. I mean, you wouldn't have a Cadillac or any car sitting in the parking lot of a private mall for 25 years. I mean, someone would have seen it within 24 hours or sooner, probably within 12 hours, and they would have had it towed away. Yet it sat on the streets for 25 years in Brooklyn. Everybody noticed it. Countless people were denied the opportunity to park in that spot. And I've read that one of the prime reasons people are driving around a neighborhood is actually to look for parking. But the main point is that really are just neighborhoods are there's a flaw in the way they are managed. I mean, if either the city government needs to have a sort of property manager or a regional manager or just sort of managers that manage certain areas of the city so that there's one area under their responsibility and their job is to review it probably twice a day, and if there's something amiss, they would contact the right people to have it addressed. And that's so that Cadillac, instead of being there for 25 years, would have been there for 12 hours. I mean, I used to work in property management, and one of my jobs was twice a day I would have to walk the building. This was like a 12-floor building, and I'd have to start at the top, walk one from one end to the all the way to the end of it, and I'd notice little things or things in the stairwell, and I'd have them addressed. And so that's the kind of thing we need for our communities. And or another sort of larger option is to just privatize the communities. I mean, I personally would rather live in some area managed by the people who manage Disney World than the people who manage my local city government. I know things would be taken care of much sooner, so we could just privatize the whole neighborhoods. I know that sounds a little more dramatic, but really, it really isn't. I mean, there's plenty of areas. It's the equivalent of actually like putting a apartment building on a mall. A fashion, whatever, a private mall. Because everything there would be private and the building would be on the private mall. But the real point is that if it was managed by a private company, then someone would be looking at it twice a day. Because the current situation is that if somebody who lives in the area sees something, they have to figure out who to contact. And I know a lot of cities now have the 311 thing, so you could call one number, and that's a great tool, and they'll patch you through to the right people. But I just feel that the response times would be faster because not everyone calls 311. I mean, I do that many times in my current neighborhood. I fixed about 10 things. I've gotten some graffiti removed. I've had garden areas cleaned up. I've had a remnant like huge orange traffic barrel taken care of and taken away. And these were things because I would call either the property owner who owned it, or that's a little separate from what I'm talking about here, or I'd contact the city government, or in some cases they would refer me to the state government. But still, I had to take the step of contacting these agencies, and people are like, why do you do that, or something, or it's uncommon is the point for someone to do that. And I've had a lot of success, but the thing is, it wouldn't be necessary if there was someone actually managing my neighborhood, and who would, have a quick, or already have established relationships with these specific, agencies who could address the problem. And so those are my ideas for correcting things. And, we saw it vividly what the problem is with this Cadillac. So I hope we go in either direction. We get, city managers that manage neighborhoods, or we just privatize the streets and sidewalks. And I think that would work.